Picture an American neighborhood in 1925. Any city, Brooklyn, Chicago, Detroit. On the corner of an ordinary residential block stands a small store. The owner lives upstairs. Kids walk there alone for bread and penny candy. Everyone within 4 blocks knows his name. Now, picture where you live today. Where is the nearest place to buy milk? For most Americans, the answer is a drive, past hundreds of houses where a store is not just absent but illegal to build. That word matters. Illegal. The corner store didn't lose a fair fight and quietly close. Across most of residential America, it was outlawed by one Supreme Court case, one new kind of map, and one machine in every driveway. And at the end of this video, I'll show you the neighborhoods where the corner store never died, because they prove the whole thing was a choice. Here's how a country erased its corners. Before the 1920s, American neighborhoods were mixed by default, the way nearly every city in human history had been. Homes, shops, workshops, bakeries shared the same blocks because people moved on foot, and a foot can only carry you so far. The corner store was the neighborhood's external pantry. Families shopped almost daily, bought small, carried it home in one bag, which, by the way, is exactly how most of Europe still shops today. But the store sold more than food. The shopkeeper extended credit in hard weeks. A handwritten ledger of who owed what settled on payday. He held packages, spare keys, messages. He watched the street from behind the counter all day, which meant the block effectively had a guard who knew every face on it. Kids ran errands alone because there was nowhere to get lost and someone watching the whole way. In the urban north of the 1920s, there were hundreds of thousands of these tiny groceries, roughly one for every few residential blocks. It wasn't nostalgia. It was infrastructure, a food system, a credit union, and a security camera, disguised as a shop with a bell on the door. And then America invented a new kind of map. In the 1910s and 20s, American cities began adopting zoning, dividing land by permitted use. The original logic was real. Industrial-era cities were genuinely toxic, and keeping the slaughterhouse away from the school was progress. But American zoning rapidly took a uniquely radical form called single-use zoning. This entire district is houses and nothing else. Not a bakery, not a barber, not a corner store. Commerce got its own distant districts, full stop. In 1926, the Supreme Court blessed it in a case with a name worth remembering: Euclid versus Ambler. The court ruled that a town could constitutionally ban commerce from residential land. The opinion even reached for an unforgettable image, comparing the wrong building in the wrong zone to a pig in the parlor. That single ruling became the template stamped onto nearly every American suburb built afterward. Understand what that means? From the late 1920s on, every new residential neighborhood in America was born storeless, by law, before the first foundation was poured. The corner store wasn't pushed out of new America, it was never allowed in. But the law only made new neighborhoods storeless. Something else had to kill the hundreds of thousands of stores that already existed, and that something arrived in 1930 with a ridiculous name: King Kullen. Opened in Queens, New York in 1930, widely considered America's first supermarket, and the name was a pun on King Kong. The idea was revolutionary. One giant warehouse-style store, brutal low prices, and a completely new rhythm of shopping. Drive there, fill a cart, stock up for a week. The corner store's model was daily, small, walkable, on credit. The supermarket's model was weekly, bulk, cash, and parked. A&P and the chain scaled the formula nationwide, and the price gap was unanswerable. The corner grocer buying by the crate could never match a chain buying by the trainload. Here's the part people miss. In a walking city, the supermarket's advantage is limited. You can only carry so much home. The supermarket's true business partner was the car. And in post-war America, the car didn't just enable the supermarket, it rebuilt the entire map around it. Because now the three forces fused. Post-war suburbs, Levittown, and its 10,000 imitators were built under Euclid-style zoning from day one. Pure houses, with all commerce exiled to strip malls on the arterial roads, reachable only by car. And the culture supplied the final blow, the one this channel keeps finding under everything: image. In the new suburban ideal, a store near your house didn't read as convenience. It read as city. And city meant crowded, noisy, poor, the thing you had just escaped. Unbroken rows of lawns became the visual proof you'd made it. Real estate wisdom hardened into law by vote. Homeowners, convinced that a shop nearby would lower property values, showed up at zoning meetings for decades and kept their own neighborhoods commercially empty, and still do every week in every state. The corner store wasn't outcompeted in the suburbs, it was beneath them. Nobody banned it maliciously. Millions of people, protecting their largest asset, banned it politely, meeting by meeting, for 70 years. Now, the detail that reframes your whole town. The corner store never actually disappeared from America. Look at where convenience stores live today. Gas stations and strip mall pads on the big roads, at the edges of residential zones. That's him. That's the corner store. Legally deported to the only land that would have him, reachable by car instead of by foot. 7-Eleven, Circle K, the gas station mart. America has over 150,000 convenience stores, more than it had in 1925. The function survived completely. What died was the location, and everything the location was secretly providing. The walk, the eyes on the street, the credit ledger. The adult who knew your kid's name and noticed when something was off. A 7-Eleven on a 6-lane road sells the same milk. It just can't sell. The corner. We kept the store and threw away the neighbor, and then spent decades writing think pieces about why American streets feel lonely. And here's the proof it was a choice, not destiny. Walk the pre-zoning neighborhoods that survived. Brooklyn, Queens, North Philadelphia, San Francisco's Mission, half of Boston. And the corner store is still there. New York City alone runs on thousands of bodegas, many a century deep in the same buildings, still profitable, still holding keys and packages, still feeding blocks at midnight. They survive because they're grandfathered. Legal relics from before the map changed, occupying corners where today it would be illegal to open them. Zoom out further, and the picture gets sharper. In Japan, the konbini, 7-Eleven itself, ironically, sits inside residential blocks by the tens of thousands, and Japanese children famously run errands alone at ages that would summon a police visit in American suburbs. Same company, same store, different map. Even inside the U.S., there's a control group. Houston, the largest American city with no formal zoning code, where commerce threads through neighborhoods in ways that horrify planners and function anyway. The corner store didn't die of natural causes anywhere. It died exactly where and only where it was prohibited. To be fair to the people who built this, they were solving real problems. The cities of 1920 were loud, polluted, and packed. Separating uses felt like hygiene, and for heavy industry, it genuinely was. The supermarket made food dramatically cheaper for everyone. That's not nothing. That's groceries for the working class. Nobody sat in a room and decided American children should be unable to walk anywhere. Every individual decision was reasonable. The combination was not. And the combination is what we live in. And the tide is quietly turning. Minneapolis, then entire states, Oregon, California, have begun dismantling pieces of single-use zoning. Planners now chase a goal they call the 15-minute neighborhood. Daily needs within a short walk of home, which is a remarkable phrase, because it describes almost exactly the America of 1925. The cutting edge of urban planning is a corner store with the owner living upstairs. The corner store was never just a store. It was the piece of the neighborhood that made it a neighborhood. The reason a kid could be sent out alone. The reason the street had a face. The reason community wasn't an abstraction but a guy named Sal who knew your order. We zoned him away, drove past where he used to stand, and then spent 50 years buying books about loneliness. The corners are still there. Every suburb has thousands of them. We just made it illegal for anything to happen on them, and we renew that decision politely at a zoning meeting every single week. So tell me, can you walk to buy milk from your front door, yes or no? And what country? Americans over 50. What was your corner store called, and who ran it? Those comments are genuinely my favorite thing on this channel. And if you're in New York, defend your bodega in the comments. The rest of the world doesn't know what a chopped cheese is. Subscribe. There's a video right here about what really killed the American front porch. Same killer, different victim.